Hello my brothers and sisters of the Order, welcome back, and today for this type of video on our armor test or weapons test videos as you want to call it, we will pretty much be, doing the test on this, the Bascinet Helm, that of which did not fit my head, which I'm still disappointed on with all best. So, yeah. So anyways, now, in truth, the weapons we're going to be using on this will be based on the historical designs of type of weapons that of which this type of helmet would have, well, been up against. This would include pretty much mostly bludgeon weapons, such as the mace, or as well even a warhammer. Plus, as well, we're also going to use the Dane axe from the Gotland design, and as well even my other single-handed, two-handed type axe. Plus, we might even use a couple of swords, such as the Scottish Arming Sword, the Broadsword, and including also my Gallowglass Greatsword, which, in truth, the Gallowglass did use Bascinet Helms at the time, and as well, this helmet would have actually seen pretty much a lot of weapons as well. Now, as well, we're also going to use my Falcata on this helmet. Now, I hear many of you already, but Templar, the Falcata is an ancient antiquities weapon. It should not be used in the medieval time. Well, in truth, I'm using it as a stand-in for the falchion. I don't have a falchion yet, but very soon I pretty much hopefully will. And in which we're actually going to test it and see if it can actually cleave into the helmet. Now, this is going to be somewhat of an experiment / entertainment video, so in educational and such. But in truth, we don't actually have a melon or whatever, but we can actually tell by if it gets dented in enough, we could pretty much tell that the human skull can actually get cleaved in extremely badly enough that it could pretty much kill. And which many of you don't understand of how much gauge this is a 14 gauge steel. Now, sometimes the steel would have been thicker than this. However, we have to see of how much stronger and tough enough the blow can be to an 18 gauge steel helmet, especially if it can cleave into a helmet. Now, I'm kind of wondering what might happen if I hit these rivets by accident. Because my best bet, if it was be a blade, it would probably damage the blade, so I'm going to have to avoid hitting these. But with the mace and a warhammer, probably not as much. You know, the biggest thing I pretty much would see this helmet actually work best would be if it comes with a downward chop. For example, if I was to do, say, the cutting the helmet downward, what will happen is the sword would technically glance off to the side. Same with axes or maces or warhammers. They would technically just glance off. However, if you hit it to the side of the helm, what can happen is it can actually damage the part of the helmet so badly, it could even, break part of your neck. And of which, that's actually kind of the horrifying part. Now, I'm kind of also wondering what might happen if I hit the front brow of the helmet, because it could probably just cleave into the skull and kill the person in the process. So why don't we get to that, and probably very soon I'll show you the aftermath after the video, and when I'm going to be doing the last of my, reviews on it. Anyways guys, let's get right to it, shall we? Next, y'all, let's see if we can actually try and do something with Falcata, because my best bet this will be near identical to a falchion, because these technically were labeled the Antiquities Bascinet during the ancient period. So why don't we actually see if this can do something? Oh! Yeah, that landed a massive blow, bigger than the Scottish Army sword, because literally that actually cleaved in the helmet, actually. This might have actually rattled his brains a little. Not gonna worry. Let me try going downward shot. Ooh! That actually would have hurt it's not as guy. Oh man. It looks like it did cleave in the blade a little bit. Don't know if y'all can see that. It's like a little bit right there and such. But yeah, that would be a concussive blow to the human skull. Because look, here is our downward chop, and it dented in the helmet a little. The same could be said about the back one right here. Here's our arming sword. Here is our Falcata. That is this gruesome. That would just cause a massive human blow to the human skull. In fact, and now you understand. If this hit the human skull, this could actually probably kill him very quickly. So, yeah. Now, let me actually try hitting it with the Falcata right on the brow. I wonder what to see what that would actually look like. Not much damage. Because in truth, now you understand, ladies and gentlemen, the frontal part of the helmet is more reinforced than the rear, but still, this could have actually cleaved in the human skull. We can pretty much see why during the medieval period they had to have extra padding to soften the blow of the blunt instrument weapon, which this is a regular plain shirton here, but you can see what my point is. This is why it should be a little more expanded outward instead of this small. So, yeah. Oh, that is horrifying. But yeah, that would have caused a concussive blow to the human skull enough that it could have actually caused brain damage, which would nearly be identical to that of a car wreck. So, this guy could pretty much be dying internally, and probably his brains are going to be rattled a bit. But yeah. But yeah, I can see why the Falcata was a gruesome weapon even in antiquity time. So it does make you wonder, we can pretty much see why the Falchion, the Falcata's late brother during the medieval period, would be so dangerous to a medieval soldier like this. So that is horrifying a little. I want to skip ahead to the mace because I believe this mace right here, this is a late medieval style mace, this might actually cleave in the helmet enough to probably kill him. So why don't we check it out, shall we? We can try over here now. Ooh. A lot more of a dent, literally, because one of these marks right, one of the spikes right here just cleave into the helmet. And that would have actually killed somebody if they weren't wearing a properly manufactured helmet like this. So that is horrifying. I'm going to try doing a back sweep design like they would have actually pretty much done, especially in the ranks and file formation of the close crammed formation. In other words, we just get closed in and I had to swing around and hit him in the rear. So we're actually going to see what I can do. About the same damage actually, but I think the frontal lobe design was a lot more power, so it caused a lot more force and trauma to the skull. Now we're just going to see what happens if it comes to a downward design to this frontal slope. Okay, well it didn't slide down, but it did cause enough force that this might have actually cracked, like literally this, caused his neck to fall downward, he could have pretty much just died. Okay, let's try the front. Oh, yeah, that could actually kill. And I understand, people, the mace is dangerous enough that if you whack somebody hard enough, you can actually kill them enough that one blow can really kill them. Even if they're wearing plate armor like this by the late medieval time period, even this type of armor would have actually been nothing compared to the mace. But why don't we check out the Warhammer and see what it can do? Because my best bet is the Warhammer can do near as much as dangerous of damage, and in truth, I could probably see it doing a lot more better. But the flail, you might ask, why not that? Well, kind of obvious. The flail would have just, well, not done as much as the staff mace. So, let's get right into it, shall we? Oh, if only my dwarven brothers can see me now. Now, I'm going to first try with a single hand design. First with the hammer, then the spike, then I'm going to do it with two hands. So, why don't we try that? Oh! Oh, near as much damage as a mace, but yet this thing is lighter, so I could pretty much see this killing him a lot more. And it didn't actually move the head. I thought I was worried a little because this is my father's Warhammer, and this is a little old, but still, this thing is dangerous enough it could pretty much kill. So let's do a spike. Oh! Oh! We went deeper than the mace did. That is horrifying. We did a lot deeper than the mace. Okay, here is our Warhammer. Here is our mace. Look at that. That is huge difference. Mace, Warhammer. And the hammer blow was right here. It did a concussive design. This is just horrifying enough. And now this is a mace also, but this was to the side, not to the frontal lobe. So why don't we actually go to the side and let's see what happens there. Not as much damage as the mace did. So why don't we try the Warhammer on its spike head. Not as much. So, it's a two-hand approach. Ooh! Oh my god, this actually did a lot more. Oh! This is just horrifying because I'm swinging this mace. This guy's just technically brain dead by now because literally, I don't know if y'all can see this, but this is a massive concussive blow to the frontal cranium, out of which it could cause internal bleeding. Even if he's wearing a helmet and padding underneath, he's going to be having major brain damage. So he's just going to have his brain rattled in. And as well, we even caused a crack in the helmet, which that is horrifying for a 14-gauge steel helm. But I haven't hit the very top of this thing, which that makes me wonder. Man, this damn thing is just tough enough. I could pretty much use this as a training helmet already. Let me get... This is horrifying enough. The general form, I could just see a guy getting himself brain damage. He's concussed. He is just knocked out from the battle entirely. In fact, this is why medieval plate armor was not that strong to most weapons. But the thing is, if none of y'all understand it, with Hollywood and anime and all that, weapons do not go through armor like bread and butter. This could still stop weapons of the type, but due to the armor design, it could actually stop the weapon. But the problem is, it will be internal damage that will be the major draw point of this person dying. This, ladies and gentlemen, is where the crack is. And look, this is where our Warhammer hit. I could just see this killing the guy, like literally just immediately. Because this was this was a plain good helmet when it first came to me. Now, oh man, this is this war tattered. You need to go to a blacksmith to fix this. So yeah, why don't we now go to the axe? Because I'm betting the axe might do a little bit more damage. Oh, maybe. Okay, we're gonna first try with the Gotland Viking axe. So my best bet is this design blow would probably kill the body, or technically chop into his head. So let me try that. Oh, yep. Here is our Falcata blow. Here is our axe blow. I'm trying to get this a little bit correct for y'all. Because yeah, this is the axe. Here is the Falcata. Axe, Falcata. Axe, Falcata. This did a little more damage than the Falcata because it's a two-handed design weapon. But still, this design blow could still kill a body underneath its helmet. Yeah, it's kind of horrifying to imagine of how gruesome this was on the medieval battlefield. So even if the axe like this was outdated by the time the Bascinet came around, we could still see how dangerous this was because it could pretty much destroy the body underneath the helmet. So in other words, with the cutting blow like such, it could easily just kill somebody even if they're wearing armor. In fact, the axe was still being used by the time of the 100 Years' War, so we can still see why this thing is dangerous. I'm going to try doing a thrust because that might actually do something. And more of like a little pelt, so doesn't exactly cause that much damage. I wonder though. Oh! Lobbed in the helmet right on top. Yeah, it did a really good job at lobbing into the helmet. It just... Oh man, it even cracked open the top end of the helm. That would cause the helmet to pretty much fraction underneath it, as you can see. That is just horrifying, to say the least. And that was with the back edge of the helmet of the type of axe, which is supposed to be blunt, supposed to have a hammer type end. And this is a two-handed version. I wonder what might happen if the one-handed, two-handed version could do. What damage could it cause to this helmet? Shall we get started? Okay, we're going to try the Dragon Axe now. I best bet it probably won't do as much damage as its two-handed cousin, but still. I wanted to see what can happen if I could use both one and two hands on it. So, let's see what happens. 1, 2, 3. Ooh! Does as much damage as the two-handed axe. So, that's saying something. And this has a sharpened blade on it, so you can see how much damage that would have actually caused. That would have literally cleaved in a human skull if they were wearing lesser gauge of helmet. And now, this is a 14 gauge steel, so just imagine what might happen if this was just 16 or 18 gauge. Because in truth, this helmet might have been cleaved in, and the human skull would have probably gone with it. So, yeah, even if you're wearing padded and mail, I could still see this human just dying in the process. This is really horrifying to say the least. Because just take a look at that. That is just horrifying to begin with. And I can pretty much see why these things were so dangerous. Now then, let's try the hammer end and see what happens. Don't know if I hit it. Let me try that again. On a more flatter surface right here. Yeah, that would have actually caused damage to the human skull and the human cranium. Because as we can see here, it's literally caused a major dent into the helmet, which that is saying something. Now that's with a hammer like thing on the back. Now, this one doesn't have a hammer on the back, but just imagine if this was a hammer on the back end, this could have actually probably hurt the guy so badly, he probably would have died internally. Now then, it's two-handed time. Oh! Same as the two-handed axe, a little deeper now, though. Oh yeah. Let's try the Warhammer end. Not as deep, which, not surprising, because, as I said, this doesn't have the hammer on the back end, but this is gruesome enough that it would have extremely damaged the human brain. And the human brain, if you don't understand, is vital for this person to survive. You know, with all these potch marks on here, I'm pretty much seeing this guy dying with probably about maybe 2 hours, 3 at most. So that's kind of horrifying. Okay, now we're going to try the broadsword. My best bet it would do as much damage. Well, that is, I don't think as much as a two-handed strike. However, let's try this out, shall we? Don't think it did anything. The only thing it's doing is just pissing this guy off, because this blade is nothing. Because literally, this is just causing a small scratch. So, yeah, we can see why. I can understand why, but it's not as much as the arm and stuff. But let me try doing a double hand style. Ooh, that did something. Yeah, I did enough puncture into the helm to have actually probably cracked his neck a little, but not killed him. So, yeah, this doesn't not probably kill as much. We could pretty much see why by the time of the very late medieval period, a sword like this would have been useless to the helmet like this. So, yeah, and if you don't understand, this is a sharpened blade, I might add, and even it couldn't get through this helmet. So, yeah. But why don't we try off with the final weapon, meaning the greatsword, and see what it could do to this helmet, shall we? Okay, now, for the final time, we actually got the Dalagrass Greatsword. Now, I'm not doing murder blows with the sword because I'm worried about the weapon staying together as a thing, so, yeah. Because in truth, murder blows are so dangerous, ladies and gentlemen, that they were effective enough to actually sometimes crack the rest of the sword itself. So we're not going to do that, okay? What we are going to do is try and see what can happen with the human skull. So I'm going to try getting it from the other side angle because I don't think I have much space over here. So yeah, here we go. I don't know what that would have done anything. Ooh. Apparently it might have actually. Because here, right here is our major dent right on the top end of the helm. So that would have actually probably killed the guy. But yeah, I don't know if that would have actually done as much though. So let me try that again and see if it was the correct one. Yeah, pretty much. Although, that, I could feel the shockwave right to my pommel end of the glove, and I'm kind of worried. Okay, nothing's damaged, I don't think. Oh yeah. Why don't we try a more powered design into the guard? So yeah. Oh! Yeah, that is dangerous enough. That
actually might have cleaved into the... If I actually hit a guy with a infantry-style helm, not like this, but more like a kettle helm, and hit him in the neck, this would have actually killed him. Even if he was wearing a coif and chainmail guard, this would really damage his skull. Literally, it would have hit him right in the neck, and he could pretty much just die instantly. But because of the design of the helmet, it pretty much just deflected it. Now, why don't we actually try with a more designed thrust into the helmet? Because I just bet it would do a little more damage. And I wasn't even going at full power, and yet this thing managed to get a good type of thrust into the helm. So, yeah. I'm kind of worried if this guy actually was someone underneath this, he might be dead by now. So, that is kind of horrifying, to say the least. Well, why don't we actually just go back inside and do a full review on the entire damage to the skull of this helmet, because there is probably no way this guy would have probably survived. Why don't we just go right back inside, shall we?
Well, guys, as I said, we were going to do an extra review on it, and sure enough, this helmet, literally, even if it was 14 gauge steel, I could pretty much see the human head pretty much getting so badly damaged that the human skull would just get cleaved in. In fact, as you can see, there are multiple amounts of cuts and designs of, I want to call it blistering, but bludgeon blows, I guess is the correct term, because we got axe blows, we got great swords, we got falchions, we have arming swords, we have maces, warhammers, axes. You get the whole gist. And in fact, if you were actually going to hit by this weapon, I could pretty much, any weapon of that time, mostly I could probably see if someone hit you with a mace, this could probably damage the human brain so much it could actually kill them enough, or even with a warhammer. Now, those weapons would actually do very good, as well with the axe. I could probably also see that working also. In fact, as you could tell, the bludgeon design of this entire helmet, this guy would pretty much feel a lot of damage. Now, the greatest one the only two swords I could probably see best getting through this helmet properly would be a greatsword, but over that would be a falchion. Now, the falchion is heavy duty enough that it could cleave into a human skull. Now, as I said, we had to use the Falcata as a falchion or stand-in, but still, if a Falcata was seen on the medieval battlefield, for example, it would probably cleave into the human skull as this thing did. In fact, I could pretty much even see with the back end of an axe that this helmet would just get badly destroyed. In fact, we got at least 2 cracks down the middle of the helmet. That actually shows that it's incredibly these weapons were incredibly powerful enough to cause cracking into the skull. And that is devastating enough that it could actually just pretty much kill someone in the process. But still though, I could pretty much see someone probably wearing a Bascinet as much in history books. Problem is, Bascinet helms were very, very much used by many medieval people, such as the medieval Gallowglass archers. In fact, medieval knights used bascinets. Everyone in history used a Bascinet type helm of some sort. So we could pretty much see on how dangerous this would have been for a foot soldier, especially if he got hit by a mace or a warhammer. And as which, maces and warhammers were easy to construct, and in truth, foot soldiers mainly used bludgeon weapons. Most of the time they would have used a falcata, or as I should say, a falchion, and as well a mace or a warhammer. And they would have also used pole arms, such as an axe, or as well even a miniature axe, and sometimes even halberds and many other weapons. There are different designs. Now, I didn't use a spear on this because I was kind of worried what might happen to my spear, because, well, you could see why. It would have actually really killed someone. Now, it is rare, though, to see a weapon go through a helmet, especially a 14 gauge steel. However, we could pretty much see on how dangerous enough this could actually kill someone. Now, I could probably see the falx probably going through a bassinet, maybe. if none of you all know what a Falx is, it's a Dacian-style Celtic weapon, of which this is a big asked question if the Dacians were Celts or not. I'm the type of guy, as many other people believe, that the Celts might have been a Dacian-type people, or Celtic-style people and such. But still, we have to understand, though, the weapons that would have gone through a helmet were so devastating and so concussive enough that they would have actually killed somebody, especially. Now, if none of you understand on how dangerous a weapon could pretty much go through a human skull, it's kind of like this. For example, I pretty much take a look at this helmet, and I do not see an arming sword nor a broadsword going through this helmet. Which no weapon in history, which this is one thing I want to put out there, that Hollywood, anime, and many novels as they show weapons going through armor like nothing, which I find that a little idiotic. In truth, it's the blow of the weapon that goes through the helmet, not the weapon itself. Now, in truth, Mike Loads has even explained this by actually testing it on a Norman-style helm, of which gives us a good example of it. And in doing so, though, that's my point. Now, in truth, I could pretty much only see a couple of weapons going through this helmet, making it easier to kill someone with, such as the blow. Now, maybe you might ask, Templar, what would be the weapon that would deliver a killing blow through a helmet like this? Well, that would actually be very obvious. It could not be the arming sword nor the broadsword, but the falchion or falcata, that takes heavy gain when it comes down to blades. So unfortunately, the greatsword is below a one-handed sword. That is kind of funny to believe, because we actually hear the myth of that the greatsword is the greatest weapon on earth. In truth, when it comes to plate armor, no, it's not. However, when it comes to bludgeon weapons, like an axe or something like that, I see the axe underneath the warhammer, and the warhammer underneath a mace. I know many of you mace fans want to see the mace up there, but actually, this is my only personal opinion. In truth, I believe the warhammer is best because it's lighter and means you can actually get more blows in here and there, killing the person. Now, many of you might ask, what about half swording? Half swording could pretty much damage the helmet enough, like it did with the greatsword. Well, yeah, but that's the thing. You got to do half swording, and I still see the falchion over the greatsword when it comes down to the design blows on this helmet. But still, I could still see an axe doing incredible damage. And just imagine if that axe actually had a hammer on the back, and it could just damage the skull enough that it could technically kill. So, what are the weapons in best form? Well, number one, we actually have the warhammer. Number two would be the mace. Number three would be the axe for both of them. And as well, then comes maybe the sword coming in at fourth place. Great sword would actually have to be at fifth. And as well, the arming and broadsword, they're kind of both the same, so I'll just put them in sixth place, just to save up on an embarrassment of the swords. But still, though, we could pretty much see on why these helmets would have been able to stand up against a said sword. But the thing is, it depends on the sword. Now, I could still see a falchion going through, causing a concussive blow underneath the plate armor enough to kill a person. So yeah, even if with a thrust can do nothing but piss this guy off, is the thing. Now, many of you might wonder, Templar, why didn't you use a shield and bash it into the skull? Well, in truth, actually, you could do that, but the thing is, shields weren't meant to hit the helmet. They were actually meant to hit the face, the neck, the parts of the body of which you need to distract them or concuss them enough to get in a good blow. And the thing is, the weapon that actually killed the medieval knight on the battlefield more than anything would actually mostly have been not mostly any of these weapons. It would have actually been a knife, a dagger. In which, why? Kind of obvious. It would be known as a dagger of mercy. And while they have them on the ground, they actually would just stab out their eyes, their tongue, or slit their throats in the process. And that was a gruesome time in war of which we saw it. Now, as I said though, by the time of the late medieval period, these helmets would have still withstood really good points of weapons. But the thing is, for the Gallowglass, I would have seen the axe being mostly a lot more devastating than their sword. So yeah. But many of you might wonder though, but Templar, why are so many swords seen on the battlefield and such in films? Well, that's the thing. It's Hollywood. They get a lot of shit wrong. And of which, it could be said the same with the weapons that are used on the helmet. Now, if you want to see historical weapons on how well they would have actually worked correctly and such, I could actually divert you over to Maria the Virgin Witch, which is an anime which actually gets a historical way they would have actually fought and how good the weapons were against the said armor at the time. In fact, this is supposed to take place during the time of the 100 Years' War, which I do love this because it has a historical style of fighting. It makes the armor work correctly, and it does everything correct of what it should be looking like. In fact, it makes the medieval soldiers look awesome, actually. So yeah, I do like that anime a little bit more than a lot of them. But Berserk, I pretty much will still put up for the storyline above Maria the Virgin Witch, sadly. So yeah, but still, this is still a good armor, and I could still see why the 18 gauge could probably, because in truth, many helmets like this, a kettle helm, which this is not as thick as the Bascinet is. Now, the Bascinet, as I said, is around 14 gauge. This is around 18 to 16, and this probably still could not compare to this. But still, we can see why, because most of the time foot soldiers would have worn this, meaning they had to wear a lighter type of plate armor in their helmet to make it cheaper. So yeah, we can pretty much still see the Bascinet winning over the kettle helm. But still, I do plan on doing other weapon test and armor test videos, hopefully very soon, because I am planning on using some riveted mail, that of which I never got a chance on using, of which is damaged or is too small, so I'll be testing that out, as well I'll be testing out the effects on buff coats and leather armor, and as well I pretty much might do a fantasy film or fantasy Friday video on leather armor very soon to try and explain on if it's real or not and such like that. But yeah, anyways guys, hopefully see y'all in the next one, and like and subscribe so that way you can join the order and help the channel grow. Anyways guys, like and subscribe as I said. Also check out our Facebook so that way you can be entertained on other videos that will be coming up soon. And pretty much we will be doing some other things also, such as new armor ups and designs. I am planning on hopefully trying to do the Roman Principes probably by next month, hopefully. I'm still thinking on that one. I'm really wanting to do that one. I'm just thinking on others, because I am thinking on maybe the Carthaginians or other Celtic warriors or something, because in truth, I like history and I want you to love history as much as I do. Because in truth, I also do plan on doing the medieval foot soldier or medieval infantryman or man-at-arms probably by next year, hopefully, because as I said, I'm getting some new weapons and kit and in gear and such to show you what they would have actually looked like. But anyways, hopefully to catch y'all in the next one, and hopefully by after Christmas I'll have some new armor and equipment actually, because I am looking for new equipment for my outfits and such, in which, yes, I will be looking for a different type of Bascinet helm, because I am looking for one for the Gallowglass Warrior and such, because, yeah, reason I couldn't use this one was because it was too small, which I am still disappointed with all this about that, so, yeah. But anyways, hopefully y'all actually like this, and if y'all want me to test out anything on any type of armor, let me know, because I do have a fantasy cuirass, that of which I am really disappointed in, because I bought it from Amazon. This is back when I was young and idiotic, and pretty much the armor is just stupid and such. It's mostly just fantasy type, so 18 gauge steel, and I'll probably be testing how good 18 gauge steel is compared to historical style weapons, in which I will pretty much be testing it on probably the Falcata or Falchion, and as well as the mace and Warhammer, and maybe even the axe. So we're pretty much going to see a little bit more devastating blows compared to this 14 gauge steel. Anyways, guys, if you want me to actually put the link of this helmet in down below, I will. I'll leave it right down below for y'all for all that stuff, of which actually is a really good group. Don't get me wrong. They just got the measurements wrong was the problem. So yeah. But anyways, this happens a lot. So yeah. Anyways, guys, hopefully you like this and subscribe and such, and check out everything else. And hopefully see y'all in the next one. Have a great day.